Our next question goes to Mr. Sellers. Do you feel property and personal taxes are too high for the residents of Ward 1? And if so, what areas of the budget would you cut in an effort to reduce the taxes? You have 2 minutes.
The taxes are high. It was stunning when we bought a new vehicle and when we paid the first year of taxes on our home a few years ago. But you know, we've got to do something with the tax base to be able to continue some of the programs we've got. We've got to be able to fix infrastructure. And so I don't know that the taxes are so high that we, you know, are unable to do that, but it is a burden on the middle class, and that's why you see a lot of folks moving away from the Jackson city limits. I think one area that we can fix in the budget is frivolous spending on some of the programs past administrations have put in place. We've got to trim items back to really focus on infrastructure and crime prevention and education. Those are the 3 areas that we need to spend money.
Absolutely, taxes are too high. We just went through another round of water and sewer tax hikes. Every time we turn around, that's the solution. Pay more taxes, pay more taxes. And it's not. It's what's scaring people away. For one thing, if we had lower taxes, if we had the investment in the community, in the business community that we need, then more people would be buying property. Property values would go up, and we could lower taxes and still get the same revenue. That's the goal that we need to be setting. So yeah, I think taxes are too high. Where would I cut? I'd start by asking every department to trim the fat. You go through and there is waste in every single department, and it's especially apparent in our outside contracts. The current redevelopment on Capitol Street is a perfect example. You know why that's costing so much? Well, for one thing, look at how long it's taken to do. It has taken longer to repave Capitol Street than it took to build the Empire State Building. And the longer a project like that goes on, the more expensive it is. It's not just about cutting services. It's about cutting the waste, and that needs to happen across the board. I also think we need more private-public partnerships. Private-public partnerships to redevelop JTRAN. It's a huge loss for the city. And there are other programs like that that we can work with we can work with private-public partnership to reduce the city's costs, because we will hold those kinds of people accountable.
Mr. Barr. Do you feel personal property and real property taxes are too high for the residents of Ward 1? If so, what areas of the budget would you cut in an effort to reduce taxes? 2 minutes.
Thank you. I don't feel that they're too high only on Ward 1. They're too high on everybody. Everyone in this town. I recall a meeting of the Hinds County Board of Supervisors. Two guys had retired. They'd been living in Chicago working in a factory, and they moved back to the Bolton area. And they came in and they were irate about their taxes. They said they were paying more in Bolton than they paid in Chicago in property tax. Now, compared to some parts of the country, I was on Iraq duty with some guys from Pennsylvania. Every one of their houses is over $10,000 a year in property tax. Most of the taxes in Jackson are not. Yes, they're too high. Yes, we spend too much money. Where would I cut? I would like to cut everywhere, but I'm not the mayor. I'm one member of the city council. If I can get along with other members and try to steer them in a direction of common sense, and there's a lot of smart members of the council. We got a good city council. I want to work with them. I would zero every budget out. Make them justify what they got last year. What did you do with it? What did you get with it? For instance, the city of Jackson is spending money, a lot of money, replacing your water meters. There are 30 people that work in the water meter inspection division. Are they still working there? Have they been reassigned to fix potholes? I hope they are. That only makes sense. If you got 30 people and you got new water meters that don't have to be read anymore, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's just common sense and hard work. The city's got a lot of good employees. We need to take care of our employees, cut where you can, and demand the best from your employees and the managers, and reward them when they do a good job. Thank you.
Mr. Carson?
Thank you. I don't think you're going to hear anybody up here say taxes are too low. We all pay it. The issue is, where does it go and what does it go for? And I spent a couple hours yesterday with our city council president going through some of those things. And a lot of the contracts that we have out there are things that we could do internally. And we don't do it. And as a construction lawyer, I've represented clients that have done emergency work for the city of Jackson. It costs you 3 times as much to do emergency work as it does when you plan ahead. We've got a 44% water loss in between that water treatment plant and your house that we all pay for. And I tell people, if you had a 44% water loss in your home, you would go fix it, and you would fix it quickly. Even if you had to borrow money to do it, you would fix it, because you understand that you're losing money, you're tearing up your infrastructure. Half the roads, the sinkholes you see out there aren't because of the Yazoo clay, even though everybody likes to blame it on it. It's because the sinkhole was caused by a water leak. And so fixing the water system, not just the sewer system, which is the EPA mandate, but the water system is key to keeping our property taxes low and keeping the services that we need and taking care of what we have. So I would say the infrastructure is huge in making sure that the tax revenue is used for what it's supposed to be used for. The councilman also told me that I asked him what we could do to fix Meadowbrook Road. For those of you who travel down it, there's that big pothole there. I said, you know, if we can get it fixed, I'll just hold a campaign sign out there and it'll probably be election over. And he told me he did something similar in his ward. But he said the guy was shoveling cold asphalt into the pothole. And when he told the guy, well, it's got to be heated up, you know, to be properly, the guy actually responded, well, we don't want to lose our job. That's got to be fixed. That's a culture that doesn't belong down there. Public Works is a huge place we can cut savings and make some savings.
Mr. Foot?
The numbers on tax rates on property in Jackson are hard to deny. The millage rate in Jackson on property is 58 mills. In the surrounding communities, the average mills are 31 mills. So we don't really compete from a tax standpoint with the surrounding communities. And that certainly plays a part in some of the decision making by residents that are trying to decide whether to stay in Jackson or move to Jackson versus move to surrounding communities. How do you change that? Won't be easy, and there's got to be solutions out there. I don't know any one silver bullet that can do that, but just to go back to the example I was using a few minutes ago about the parking meters, where we were generating $60,000 in revenue for 2014, and our expenses to monitor, to run those parking meters was probably, I'd say, highly probable. It was greater than 67,000. The people that you have to go out and check the parking meters, the people that go out and take the money out of the parking meters every day of the weekday of the year. My guess is that city would actually is probably losing money on parking meters, even as it is a big hassle to people who drive in and have to pay the meter. And if they're going to a meeting that lasts more than an hour, they may have to go back, take a break during the meeting to go out and feed the parking meter again. It's something that should be, and I talked to Rick Hill recently, who is the retired head of the budget office at the City Hall, and he said that he thought they should be contracted out. Parking meters should be contracted out. Now that's just one small example, but we could contract it out to a firm. There's a firm that's talked to the City Council in the past about trying to do that for the city and take over those duties. So we could step back as a city and not take any risk of losing money like we probably did last year on parking meters. There's plenty of other things we could probably contract out. It's just a matter of getting down and identifying.